Welcome to the Stephen Hartmann Podcast. What's the show? No one knows. Who am I? Who cares? Let's start the show.
Hell yeah. Let's start that damn show. I am the host, Stephen Hartmann. And holy shit, it's episode 20. Can't believe I've been doing this already for 20 episodes. It doesn't feel like that long, that's for sure. Especially when I still haven't quite figured out how to do everything on my own as far as turning down music and getting to my photo shit. Getting to where I can turn my camera on and all that pretty quickly. Still haven't quite figured that one out yet. But it's okay. What's up, people? How's your weekend going? It's Sunday. This shit will be coming out later in a couple hours. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Mine was all right. Didn't do much. It wasn't that hot, but it was pretty muggy still. It keeps acting like it wants to rain, and then it never does. It's just like a big old tease. I hate that shit. I'm not really into the humidity shit. That's why I don't really want to live south or anything, because it's just so humid down there. Like when we went on that vacation, it wasn't even summer yet, and it was already brutal. So, like, I don't like this shit. Like, that was one good thing about Albuquerque was it was more dry, but not lately. It's been, like, pretty fucking humid here. I just don't like that shit. Because we have swamp coolers, which are probably one of the dumbest things ever invented. I don't know who decided this was a good idea for coolant. I guess it's all right. I'll say it's okay. Because we definitely, we're not as hot as we would be if we didn't have it. But if it's more than like 40% humidity, these things don't really work. They kind of just blow hot, wet air all day. So it's almost pointless in running them until like the sun goes down almost. But by that time, it's already hot as fuck in your house. But, it's better than running it all day and it not really doing anything. Like growing up, I was used to central air. I didn't know what the hell a swamp cooler was when I first moved here. I was like, what the fuck is that? That's some weird thing I figured would be like, where swamps were. I don't know. Just the name just sounded weird to me. And then like the whole concept of we just run water over this filter that blows air through your house and it cools you down. Like I said, it for sure does. It just depends on the air quality and shit. Not like, central air where you can turn that bitch on to 72 and it's going to be 72 pretty quickly. I don't know why they decided to do that here. Seems like most places have that, except for like people who have decided to update their shit. I know I would love that. Like if we had central air, I would love that here because like I said, the swamp cooler is all right, but it just doesn't seem to be very efficient. And then like we have a good heater already, but that's a good thing about those things is it's an all-in-one unit and shit. So, they're pretty efficient. So that's what I like about that shit. Like in Kansas, we didn't have swamp coolers. They had like window units or AC units. And window units are almost as useless as swamp coolers because they barely cool down the one room that thing is in. And like your electricity bill would be ridiculous. Like to run that thing a month, like guarantee your bill is going to be an extra 100 or more than it normally would be. And then, you have like 3 or 4 rooms, you got to have a few of those things. And before you know, your electric bill is like $400 and shit. And to kind of cool your house, it's almost not really worth it. So yeah, fucking the central air shit's definitely a way to go. It's definitely gotten cheaper over the years too. Like I know growing up it was expensive as fuck, but they offer some pretty cheap shit nowadays. And like they do like payment plans and all kinds of shit. So that definitely, it's definitely something I've thought about looking into eventually. Not that I can get that shit right now, but Central Air would be amazing. But I don't even know how the hell I got into that conversation. Oh, just because of how hot and humid it's been. That's right. It's been a bummer. Definitely going to try to get into that pool that we put up again here shortly. Finally got some chemicals and stuff. Going to get it cleaned out, get it ready, and use it proper. Hopefully we can have a little party, maybe a barbecue. They got like a fire pit to use, have some s'mores. I love a good s'more. But looking forward to that for sure. I guess I'll go into, I don't know. We'll go into my movie review first because it's something we just watched last night. It's not a new movie whatsoever, but it's a movie that I decided to show my wife because she had never seen it. And I keep talking about it and shit. It was like one of my favorites growing up. It's called Tales from the Hood. Let me kick me off here. Or maybe I could just show it over me. Yeah, cool. It was made in like 95. What's crazy, like I haven't really watched it for a long, long time. So putting it back on and like seeing the credits and all that shit, you see a lot of names where you're like, oh man, these people actually, moved on to do a lot of good shit. And then I didn't realize it was a Spike Lee thing. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize Spike Lee did this shit. And it kind of makes sense after rewatching it. It's very, his kind of movie. But anyway, we decided to watch it last night. It was on Stars. We got the free 7-day thing, so we could check it out. But like I said, I don't know when the last time I watched this movie was, but there were some of the stories that were pretty relevant still, kind of like the one about the cops and the black political person and all that shit. It was almost like, damn, you could almost make this now. And like there was some pretty, funny parts to it and shit. And then there, like the ending, I was just like, oh my Jesus, this definitely looks way, way, way too old. The graphics got so corny looking at the end. It was just like, ooh, that does not hold up at all. But the rest of the movie I enjoyed, and so did my wife. She said it was pretty good. So, like, I don't know if you people ever saw it or not, but I recommend check it out. Tales from the Hood. It's made in 1995. I think it's like 2 hours long. There's like 4 mini stories in the movie, and then it has like a story surrounding the regular part and all that shit. So it's pretty interesting. The stories are, very, very interesting. And I don't know. Like I said, I definitely laughed quite a few times just because of how corny stuff got. But I think that might have been the point. But I don't know. It was a pretty entertaining movie. That's all I'll say. So check it out. So I guess I'll go into news real quick. Yeah, I'll do that instead before because my life story shit's gonna go on for a minute. So kick me off. I love Florida, and for many reasons, not only because of the awesome beaches and the many fun places to go like Disney and Universal Studios, but I love Florida because of the stories that it brings you. And scrolling today, this just cracked me up because there was 2 back-to-back Florida man stories. And the differences between the stories are pretty crazy. The first one, I guess someone called because some man washed up in a giant, like, inflatable looking thing. It kind of looks like one of those things you get in and you like roll around in, kind of like a hamster wheel type thing or some shit. Somebody called the cops on that for some reason. I don't know. I guess maybe they thought it was fucking people coming from Cuba. I don't know. But then right below that story, Florida man shoots himself while pretending to be a badass or whatever. What does it say? Yeah, exactly. He was acting like he was a badass, and I guess he put the gun to his head and it fucking went off and blew his fucking head off. Fucking Florida. Gotta love it, man. It brings some of the craziest stories out of that state. Like, I'm pretty sure there are YouTube pages and probably websites dedicated to that title, Florida man blank, or, person from Florida blank. And what follows is usually some of the craziest shit ever. Like, we listen to that Sword and Scale, and I swear to God, some of the craziest murders and stuff he talks about just come from that state. Um, oh yeah, this like tripped me out. Sorry, hold on. Drop my ladder. I couldn't tell at first if this was an ad or if they actually did a story on basically telling you, hey man, go out and like take pictures of dead people and we'll pay you. It was pretty crazy. Like I said, I was scrolling through the news and this was just right in the middle of it. And I'm like, hold on. That's kind of a little weird to have here. Even if it's like a news story that you do, should you really do a news story letting people know, hey man, if you guys go out and like just try to catch people in car accidents or any kind of death scenes, take some pictures, we'll pay you. Or even if it was in an ad for another company, why would they put this in to the news? I was just really confused by this whole thing. Like, I've always known, paparazzi and shit like that, they pay for a lot of photos, not just celebrities. They love, death shit. They had that movie, I can't remember, I think it was called Night Stalker. And that's what it was kind of about. He liked to cause fucking murder scenes or whatever so he can get that big ass payday. So it just kind of tripped me out that they, were advertising this or whatever it was. Like I said, I'm bad about actually clicking into the story, but I just thought it was a little inappropriate. Either way, even if it's a story or an ad, it just doesn't seem like it should be on a news website. It's like almost glorifying, like, hey, bring us death, you get paid. Like, I don't think you guys are supposed to really do that anymore. Like, I think they got in trouble for that kind of shit. If it bleeds, it leads type shit. But I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe that's still a thing. Like I said, it seems a little inappropriate. Like I said, I don't know if anybody's seen that movie Night Stalker, but he almost makes things happen purposely so he can get photos and shit, and I could see that kind of shit happening. It's just like the fire marshal starting fires so he has something to do. That kind of shit happens. So why wouldn't that happen with these people? And now you're like actually advertising, hey, please, we need people to do these kind of things. It's kind of weird. Like I said, right in the middle of the news stories. Just like, that's weird. Like I said, I don't think it was a story because it said something like sponsor or some show like that. And then this was pretty crazy. They had a meteor go over in Norway. And I figured from just the still that they have here, this is one I actually clicked into amazingly because this shit kind of interests me. Like when that one came down in Russia, like that shit was intense. Like that came down and like was gonna hit some shit. I think it might have. I think it actually damaged some stuff. So when I see this kind of stuff, I'm like, damn, did this thing actually do anything? So I click in, and they literally only have one other picture in this thing, and it's this. I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So I kind of zoomed in, and you really can't see shit. It almost looks like it's a missile strike or some shit, but they say it's a meteor. I guess it didn't really do anything, so it couldn't have been a missile strike, but I don't know. It just looks a little funky, but just kind of weird. And then, like, this shit kind of makes me wonder, did we know this thing was going to hit Earth? Sorry. Uh, did, our space people know that this thing was going to be coming down and maybe potentially hitting something? Like I said, I don't know if it actually did. I didn't, like, just because it clicked in doesn't mean I read. I don't know if it hit anything. It might have dissipated in the atmosphere. Who fucking knows? From what it looks like, it almost looks like it's about to hit ground and then it stops. But did we know about this? And did they warn people? Or did they, like, they're just like, we don't need to warn people. Like, it's gonna not do anything. No need to panic people. But, like, what if they're wrong? What if that thing doesn't dissipate and it does do damage, and then you find out that they knew and they didn't say anything? Do you get really fucking mad? Or you just be like, okay, I understand you don't want to, like, panic us and shit, so you're not going to tell us, every time there's a meteor that's going to potentially break the ozone or whatever. I just think it's like, not necessarily, it's almost like between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. Maybe we should have asteroid watches and warnings. Just, because that shit's kind of crazy that all of a sudden this thing can come flying out of the air and who knows what it can do. Like I said, that thing in Russia, I'm pretty sure did some damage. Didn't do a lot. It's not like it took out a city or some shit, but there are things out there that could potentially do that. And you wonder if they would tell us if it was going to happen or not. Cause, like, I don't remember hearing anything about, like, hey, Norway, watch out, man. You guys might have something that hits you. Or they were just like, we don't need to tell anybody. It's not going to do anything. Or, like, even if it was going to do something, do they tell us? Because then it just panics the shit out of people. But what if you can, like, evacuate some shit, That's where you kind of wonder, like, where those rules come into those kind of, NASA and all that shit. Do they have to inform us that there's this giant thing that's going to hit us? Because, I mean, I know they have warned us about things that, potentially here there's this giant thing that may hit us. But it usually seems like the odds are so little. It's just like, okay. But I never hear about, like, this shit where they're like, hey, guys, tomorrow this thing's going to come into our atmosphere. Just to let you know. But then again, I guess I don't really pay attention to that shit either. I don't know. Space shit is crazy to me, man. There's definitely a lot of questions for me for a lot of stuff. Listening to, like, old Opie and Anthony when Rogan was on there, they were talking to people and they were talking about how meteors brought mushrooms to this planet. And that fucking blew my mind to think that something from space landed here and was produced from combining shit and it made mushrooms. And now, if you eat those mushrooms, you see crazy stuff. And supposedly, a lot of life and stuff has very similar properties of these mushrooms. So that's even more fucking weird. Like, did we come from these mushrooms? And then, like, Rogan starts saying that, well, no, What happened was the monkeys or whatever ate mushrooms, and then that's how we evolved. And that just kind of like I just don't see that one, but could be a good possibility because you know, it definitely makes you see things that you've never seen before. So maybe it made certain kinds of apes or whatever evolve. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. So I don't know. But the fact that mushrooms came from space blows me away. Like that kind of shit just kind of trips me out. Like the spores that create mushrooms came from a meteor, which could have potentially been a piece of another planet that blew up millions of years ago. Been flying through space, just happens to land on this planet and makes this mushroom. It's just fucking crazy, man. To think that. Like what else could like all right, let's just say that's something that is true, right? We just had this one that may have not landed in Norway or whatever. Maybe little pieces come down. Could that potentially make a new kind of plant or even a species? Because, I mean, if it did it once, like I said, with mushrooms, why couldn't it do it again now? Like I said, that thing sprays down, it fucking combines with some shit, turns a goat into some other fucking animal, and now we got a new species because a meteor came down. Even though it didn't do damage hitting, just the stuff from the meteor can make something different. So that like blew me away too. Sorry, I know this is probably crazy talk right now. I'm gonna get off this. I'm sorry. It's just because this whole meteor thing and like I just started thinking about space and shit like that. Like I go fucking crazy when I think about that kind of stuff. Aliens and everything. I could definitely ramble on about like what ifs and maybes and all kinds of shit because I just believe in many, many possibilities, just stuff that we just don't even comprehend. So, like I said, that kind of shit right there, just thinking, holy shit, could this meteor that just landed create some kind of new species? Like, I literally just thought of that. And it's like making me like go like, holy shit, that could possibly fucking happen. And that'd be pretty fucking cool. Like come to find out that that's how like maybe life started with a lot of shit on this planet was from meteors coming and giving us shit. It's kind of crazy. All right, that was pretty much the news for the day. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's it. So what I think I'll do just to break up my fucking rambling, because I'm about to ramble for a few more minutes about life story shit here in a minute. I'm gonna play you a comedy bit from another guy that I really enjoy. Not only for his comedic abilities, he's actually a really damn good singer and artist. Like he plays guitar and all kinds of shit. His name is Stephen Lynch. Now it's spelled with a P, unfortunately, but he's a really, really good like comedian. He has a bunch of stuff. Like I think starting in like 2012 or maybe even earlier, he has stuff. But his latest special was a couple years ago. It was 2019. It's called My Old Heart. It's pretty interesting compared to all of his other stuff. You could tell like he's definitely grown throughout the years and like changed his outlook on a lot of things. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play you guys the birthday song, which I think is like the best birthday song I think should be played everywhere. And then I'll come back on and I'll tell you guys my life story and I'll wrap it up. All right. So I'm gonna kick myself off. Go to that. Bam. I'm gonna do the live version because I don't know. I always like it better with the crowd.
My friend Amy's here today. I don't know where she is, but it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Amy! Happy birthday! Yay! She doesn't know this, but before the show, her boyfriend sent me an email. It's like, hey, Amy's coming to the show tonight. Can you maybe sing something a little special for her? I was like, okay. You asked, motherfucker. This shit's on you, homeboy. Make it see your rotting flesh up. Flies lay their eggs in your hair. Bones will turn to dust and ashes, and the universe won't care. You'll decay, and all that you've done fade away. I guess what I'm trying to say is happy birthday, happy birthday, Amy. Living is a brutal struggle, slogging towards some endless nap. Soon the sun will boil the oceans. Here's a gift card for the Gap. We suffer, we ache. We've all got that death march to make. Life's pointless, but hey, who wants cake? Happy birthday, happy birthday, another year.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. That gives you an idea of what he does. Like I said, pretty interesting dude, and he has some pretty weird points of view for sure. But I just love that song, like the whole part of like, oh, everything fucking sucks, but hey, there's cake. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. That's a great way to look at it. But yeah, I recommend him for sure, man. Check it out. Stephen Lynch. Shit's on Spotify, obviously. You just saw that. He's got a bunch of them, man. Like, I've been listening to him for years. I don't know. At least 10 plus years. And his shit is fucking hilarious. I will just literally listen to his songs just to sing them. Like, they're that catchy. Like, it's pretty good. He's got another one. It's called Summer Song. Like that one, it's another really catchy, song that you'll be like, all right, I want to listen to that again. But yeah, anyway, on to my life story. I figure I've worked for Pizza Hut 3 times. Well, technically 4 times, but twice at one place. I figured I would kind of go through the progressions of my job at Pizza Hut. It was one of my first jobs. I think it was my first job. I can't remember if it was Pizza Hut or Country Mart, which was a gas station, grocery store. But I'm pretty sure it was Pizza Hut. What's crazy about that place, let's see now, that was 22 years ago, at least. The lady that ran that place still works there. Her name is Cheryl. She was a pretty good boss. She was pretty damn strict, but like she ran that place pretty good. Obviously, she's still there and running it like a fucking pro, I guess. But, as a teenager, I didn't necessarily like her. The night manager was, of course, way cooler. I think that's just how it is everywhere anyway. For some reason, you just don't like the day manager. The night manager and the night people always seem to be a little cooler for some reason. But anyway, this was when Pizza Hut still literally made their dough. Like you had to put it in a giant fucking bowl, add water and all this shit, and it fucking mixed for like 45 minutes or some shit like that. You took it out of this bowl, you had to weigh it up, put it in the pans and all that shit. Some of it you saved for thin dough, which that was a whole nother process. But anyway, like the pan dough and hand tossed and shit, you had to let proof and stuff like you normally would nowadays. But like I said, you had to make it first, and then you had to, put the oil in all the pans and all that bullshit. The thin dough, nowadays it comes pressed, ready to go. You just slap that bitch in a pan. You don't got to do a fucking thing. Back then, you had to take this hard, shitty dough. That's how it felt, like dry and gross. And you had to put it through this press. And it would press out one way. Then you had to turn it, press it out the other way, and it'd make this long sheet. Then you had to put it on the pan, use this thing to cut the fucking pizza to the pan. That was the process to make thin pizzas. It was at least, I don't know, a minute or 2 minute process. Like compared to nowadays, like I said, flap, bam, you're fucking done. It's the same with everything else. Like the second times that I worked at Pizza Hut, everything was frozen and processed, and it was just super fucking easy. You spray a pan, throw the hand tossed on there, put a lid on there, fucking let it proof for a minute. Same thing with a pan. You had to put some oil, put that thing, fucking let it proof. Super easy. Back then, like I said, you had to make all this shit. It was a pain in the ass. And this place was pretty busy because it was the only Pizza Hut in Garnett. Our only Pizza Hut. It was like one of the only fucking places to eat in Garnett, I should say. Like they have like 6 restaurants, so you're going to be pretty damn busy most of the day. And they still had the legit buffet and shit too. Get the salad bar, pizza. They had dessert pizzas that were fucking delicious. It was like a pan pizza. They would have like apple and cherry and blueberry and some icing and shit on it. The shit was fucking good, man. I remember we'd all be drunk as fuck and go eat all kinds at this place. But like nowadays, it's all processed, so it's definitely not as good. Like I used to love pizza at hand tossed. Now I can't stand the taste. It has this weird flavor to me. I don't know what they did. I'm guessing it's from the frozen process. But even when it was frozen at a time, I liked that dough. So they've definitely changed it in a different way. And then like from there, the next time I worked at Pizza Hut was when I moved here to Albuquerque to live with my dad. There was a Pizza Hut literally like 2 blocks from my house. So I walked there almost every fucking day till they hired me. And they hired me on. I worked there for like a year and a half. That's where I met my buddy AJ. Fucking blaze it. That dude's fucking, me and him have some pretty crazy stories. Maybe one of these days I'll bring him in and we'll talk about some shit. But that pizza was pretty gnarly. Like it was a pizza at KFC. So it was busy as fuck. And basically it was run, half of it was KFC, half of it was Pizza Hut. One half was run by like a bunch of young ass people. The Pizza Hut side, like me and AJ. Like I think AJ was barely 18. I had barely turned 21. So I guess I can't really consider myself a young ass kid, but like the cut people and all that shit, they were all like teenagers and shit. And like the KFC side was like a bunch of old kind of foreign people, a lot of them didn't even speak English. I remember the chicken cooks. You'd see them over there, drinking their pints and shit. And then every now and then seeing them smoking a pipe or some shit like that. And they did some pretty gnarly stuff over there as well. But we pretty much kept apart, but we had to work together because if you wanted KFC, you had to, or no, if you wanted pizza, you had to order KFC, or no, yeah, vice versa. You wanted KFC delivered, you had to order pizza. So it was like kind of a hassle, because they could get the KFC shit ready in like 2 minutes because it's already cooked. Pizza takes like 20 minutes. So it was kind of a hassle. But like this store was like a $3 million store because how busy it was. But me and AJ, like, we fucking handled that shit most of the time. There were some times that we had some chaotic nights, and it was mostly due to, maybe being a little too inebriated or whatever, It was kind of maybe our faults. But, we handled that shit pretty good. But it was pretty fun. We we had a Goodwill right next door, and they used to complain about the pot smoke all the time. And our managers would literally have to come to everybody and be like, guys, listen, we can't have you guys smoking pot out back. All the Goodwill guys are complaining. And like they couldn't really narrow it down to who they were talking to because it was pretty much everybody. But like I remember one time somebody dropped off a couch at Goodwill. Well, actually, what happened was they pulled up with a couch. And they're like, hey man, we wanted to give this to Goodwill, but they're closed. Do you guys want it? So we're like, hell yeah, we'll take it. Cause we're always out back smoking cigarettes and shit, So we're like, fuck yeah, we'll take it. We put it back there. We're all liking it. And the next day we come to work and fucking Goodwill had taken it back. Or actually they kind of took it from us because the dude gave it to us, but they're like, you can't take our donations. And of course our bosses were like, you can't have a fucking couch out back, man. You guys aren't even supposed to be out there. So that kind of blew up in our faces, but that we got away with a lot of stuff at that place. Mostly because we did our jobs. But there was definitely a lot of shenanigans going on. Trips to the cooler to, load bowls or whatever the fuck you got to do. There's definitely a lot of fraternization going on between, managers and people they shouldn't be with, I'll just say that we had one manager lady that was, I'm going to say she was definitely close to 30. And she was hooking up with this 16-year-old kid at our job. It was crazy as fuck. We all knew it. We were just like, oh my God. But like, dude didn't look 16, but it doesn't matter. But like, this was a long time ago. So shit was, we didn't really talk about that too much. But I would think nowadays that manager would probably get in a lot of fucking trouble. But that was the kind of shit that was going on at that place. Me and AJ actually quit at one point, and we went to go work at like A&W, some shit like that. He ended up quitting a few weeks later, and I stayed there for quite a while. Then I went back to Pizza Hut. It was about a year after I quit. I went back. It was a whole new crew. So I was all like, hey man, I'd love to come back to work here. I know how to do all this shit. I just need like $1 raise. So they hired me back for $1 more than I was making before. Not only that, I brought AJ back. I hired my buddy Nelson, and I bring my dad in. So I get all these people hired from this one guy who literally gets fired like 3 days after he hires all of us. And of course, like I said, everybody that got hired was making way more than what most of the other people were making just because I either vouched for them or whatever. So like my dad was making more money as a driver than most of the drivers. AJ was making the same money as me. And I don't know. We definitely did a lot of shady shit to that place. I will say that. I don't want to admit to a lot of things, but let's just say, stuff wasn't really paid attention to that much. So we took advantage of a lot of things as far as, maybe I'm not even going to say because I don't even know if that shit can get anybody in trouble. So I'm not even going to say anything. But we definitely took advantage of stuff. That's what I'll just say. And we had a lot of fun. It was a crazy place. a lot of drinking. I remember was one time, I'll at least admit this. Me and my buddy AJ, we were getting trashed. I think we had like a 30 pack or some shit like that. We were just slamming beers in his car, and we were just throwing the cans underneath his car. We're just like, fuck it. Every time we drink a beer, throw a can under the car and shit. And for some reason, our manager, the day manager, shows up to check in on us and shit. And he sees us in the car just drinking and shit. And the only thing he really says is, you guys better clean up all that metal underneath your car. Just knowing that we're getting fucking trashed. But like I said, they tolerated a lot because we knew how to run that fucking place. We handled it, man. It was several hundred pizzas a night, like guaranteed. And we were just busting our ass handling that shit. But yeah, like it was pretty fucking fun. It like I said, the second time around, it might have been another year and a half. And I was just sitting there throwing pepperonis on the fucking pizzas. And for some reason, I was just like, man, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So I walked up to our manager and I was like, hey, I'm going to leave because I don't want to be here anymore. And she was just like, what? You can't do that. We need you and all this shit. And I was just like, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to do this anymore. So I just fucking clocked out and left. And then it had to have been maybe another 6 years before I went back to Pizza Hut. This time it was definitely quite a while because like I had moved to fucking Vegas. We'd come back. I had worked at Giant, all kinds of shit. So I'm going to say it was at least 6 years in between that. It might even have been longer. But I go back, it's to a different Pizza Hut this time. This is when we're living up here in Albuquerque. And I go over there and I applied just to be a driver this time, which I had never done. I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to be a driver. I'm going to try that shit out. Go in there, I'd be a driver. They hired me right away. I couldn't believe it. I was like, damn, how are they still hiring me for all these times that I've just bailed on these people? But they hired me. And I was a driver for quite a while. We had a really good crew over there, man. I really liked everybody there. It was fun. It was a kind of a slow store. So I didn't really make a lot of money driving. So I decided I was going to be a manager. I was like, hey, if you need, I think our night manager got fired or some shit like that. I was like, hey, I'll take over that spot. I'll do that little bit of work and all that shit. And that was pretty fun, especially because, like I said, we had a really good crew. I had really good cooks and, the drivers and everybody knew what the fuck they were doing. So like every day, I was there, I would get a manager meal, which would consist up to like, I think it was like $15. So I would always just get a big ass order of wings and I would just be like, yo, everybody, community wings. Everybody would come over, eat wings and shit, make sure everybody was happy. And then, I'd be like, yo, safety meeting out back. We go out back, fucking smoke and shit. And, just make sure everybody's good. And it was a really fun time. I enjoyed it a lot. And then like, eventually just like, it seems like, I don't know, I get around 2 years and I just want to do something different. So I think that's when I went back to school. I was all like, what, I'm going to bail. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to learn some shit. Got my GED, did like 3 years of college, learned how to do computer shit. Like I had no fucking clue how to do any of this stuff. So like I learned quite a bit, taught myself how to, I had hardly even used a computer since I was like 12. So like learning how to do all this shit, I taught myself a lot, and now I'm here doing podcasts and shit. But yeah, that's my story of Pizza Hut, man. It was pretty crazy, the evolution from, like I said, from being like a 16-year-old kid to being like a 21-year-old dude. And I think, like I said, the second time around or the third time around, I was almost probably 30, truthfully. So it was pretty interesting. I've had a lot of fun at those jobs. You know, there was definitely a lot of downsides, but like, man, we just had a lot of fun, a lot of party atmosphere type shit. Like I said, the one in Rio Rancho with me and my buddy AJ, we got some stories. Like I said, I kind of want to have him on because I don't want to just tell the shit from one side, but there are some funny ass stories and some illegal shit and like just some pretty nutty stuff went on there. Like, I don't know. I want to start talking about shit, but I'll wait for now. I want to make sure it's all good with AJ before I just start spitting at the mouth about shit. Because we definitely did some stuff. But yeah, that's my life story for today. Um, I have plenty of work shit to talk about for sure. I was going to talk about the worst jobs I've ever had, but I think I'll save that for next time. Because yeah, I'm like already at 45 minutes. I don't know. Fuck it. I'll tell you about the worst job I ever had. It'll be quick. This was when I was living in Kansas. We were living, I think it was in Moran. I can't fucking remember. There were so many shitty little cities that we lived in. But I had this yellow piece of shit car. I can't even remember what kind of car it was. It was like, I don't even remember. But like I had to like start it with a fucking screwdriver and all kinds of shit. But anyway, I found this job at a sawmill, which like sounded, I'm like, okay, sawmill, how hard can this be? And like I found out that they made pallets. I'm like, okay, pallets aren't that hard, it's just pieces of wood nailed together. Can't be that fucking hard, right? So I go in and they're like, all right, well, the position you're at is the position right after the big saw, which basically means they take the tree, the tree that they just cut down. They grab it with this giant claw thing and they fucking push it up against this, whatever you want to call it. And it guides this giant tree down this huge saw and it cuts off, I don't know, a piece about that thick and however big the fucking tree is. And that comes down to me. And what I have to do is take this giant, I don't know, 200-pound piece of fucking wood, flip it, and then push it up against the edge and slide it through another giant saw. And that's what I did for like 10 hours a day. And the worst part was when I got this job was winter and it was the coldest fucking time I could remember. I would literally be sweating and like I swear it'd be freezing up on my face because of how fucking cold it'd be. I fucking hated that job. I don't even know if I made it 2 weeks, truthfully. I'm pretty sure I got 2 paychecks. So I think I did 2 weeks. But I just couldn't handle it, man. You had to be there at like 4 a.m. and you got off at 2 p.m. I think they gave us like a 45-minute lunch and 2 15-minute breaks or some shit like that. It was awful. It was definitely the hardest shit I've ever done. And I did like manual labor before that. So it's not like I had never done shit that was hard. This was just ridiculous. Pushing 100 pounds pieces of wood all day long was just, I was hoping to be the one on the end, but that was where the women were. They wanted the man up front that could flip this giant piece of wood. So that's what I did. It sucked for sure. Like definitely the worst job I ever had. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I didn't make 2 weeks. Besides that, I guess I'm done for the day. I think I'm already almost at like 50 minutes. So and I'm burning the fuck up. It just got like really warm in here for some reason. But I'll just say, please like and subscribe. Give a motherfucker a share. That would be helpful. Check out my niece Levita's website, levitas.com. Check out the merch. Maybe buy a shirt. Share that as well. I haven't updated my website in a while. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out this Libspin shit so I can like post everything to Spotify and everything too. So I'm just trying to get all that figured out as well. But I appreciate you guys for listening. This will definitely be out here in a couple hours. It'll be out right at midnight at Monday. And then since Big Brother and shit's on, I will probably do another one. So there'll probably be another one before Friday. I'm thinking I might end up just doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I'm going to have a lot more to talk about. And obviously, like right now, my shit's already getting long anyway. So I could have probably broke this shit down into 2 episodes, but you guys might like that more. You guys might like the longer shit. I was also thinking of like inviting people into the stream while I'm doing this so they can like talk or, fucking ask me questions. I'm up to like ask me anything type shit or whatever. So I think I might do that too. I'll just like share it to like social media and shit. If people want to join, they can get in, ask me shit or whatever. Because, yeah, I definitely want to get more content going with this. So I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, like I said, I will definitely be back with another episode probably Wednesday. And then the Friday episode will be, the Wednesday, Thursday episodes of Big Brother. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I like that idea. I also tried to get my buddy Eric on here today. We some kind of connection issue or some shit, because every time he would get on, it would just like keep kicking him off. So we need to figure that shit out. I'm gonna see about getting my internet upgraded, because it seems like maybe that's why my shit gets a little choppy. Like the audio is fine, but when I watch the video, I definitely can see me being weird and shit. I mean, I'm weird anyway. I fucking jerk and all kinds of shit the whole time. It drives me nuts. But we'll give it another try. Figure something out so we can do shows together, because I know me and him would definitely have a pretty funny show together. So we'll try to get that going. All right. Well, thanks again, people, and we'll definitely catch you guys on Wednesday for sure. All right.